RMI, it's 9 o'clock. The news with Eris Stewart. Good morning, Eris.
Good morning, Sophie.
We start with the headlines.
Silverbank scandal sees former senior relationship manager arrested by FCC. Mauritius Turf Club returns this weekend with Prime Minister in attendance. Parliament to adopt key budget bills this afternoon. MRA upgrades online services, waives penalties for late corporate tax filing. Parking crisis in Eben sees rising towers and shrinking spaces. More details in this bulletin. In world news, Trump reimposes global tariffs, delays implementation by 1 week. And in sports news, Kimberly Lecourt holds on to yellow jersey in women's Tour de France. And news just in this morning, the United States has announced that a tax of 15% will be imposed on Mauritian products being exported to the US. Keep following for more on this. Former senior relationship manager of Silverbank, Rajiv Ramcharitar, was taken into custody last night by the Financial Crimes Commission. This follows an extended interrogation as part of the investigation into the Silverbank case, suspected to be at the heart of a large-scale banking fraud scheme involving toxic loans. He was arrested upon arrival at the airport yesterday. Also connected to the case, Indian national Barnard Rajiv Kumar Madi George was previously arrested. And moving to Champ de Mars now, where this Saturday, 2nd August 2025, marks the grand return of the Mauritius Turf Club, a symbolic milestone for horse racing enthusiasts in Mauritius. Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam has confirmed his attendance at the event, calling it a significant step forward for the local horse racing scene. This opening day also coincides with the traditional Duchess of York Cup. More details with Lovina Sophie.
The Mauritius Turf Club, the third oldest horse racing club in the world and the oldest in the Southern Hemisphere, is rising from the ashes this Saturday after being shut down by the previous administration. This inaugural day coincides with the traditional Duchess of York Cup. As a reminder, on March 3, 2023, the members of the MTC's General Assembly had reluctantly decided that its subsidiary, the Mauritius Turf Club Sports and Leisure, would no longer be able to organize races due to conditions deemed unacceptable that had been imposed on it. In a message posted on his Facebook page, Dr. Navin Ramgoolam had then pledged to remedy this injustice once in power in order to set the racing industry back on track, to restore the prestige of horse racing, and to return the organization of races to the MTC under fair conditions, in the common interest and in accordance with the fundamental principles of the rule of law. The Prime Minister has thus confirmed his presence at this major comeback, a symbol of a new beginning for horse racing in Mauritius.
The government's key budgetary decisions enter a new phase this Friday. The National Assembly will meet this afternoon at 3 p.m. for the third reading and adoption of the Finance Bill and the Economic and Financial Measures Bill, two strategic pieces of legislation containing key fiscal and economic measures for the current financial year. A recap of Tuesday's parliamentary exchanges with Pranav Bihari ahead of this decisive stage.
Opposition leader Joe Lejongar took the floor to express several concerns about the government's budgetary direction. He questioned the impact of certain fiscal measures, particularly the new excise duties on vehicles and the levies imposed on the construction sector. According to him, these decisions could penalize middle-income households and discourage private investment. Joe Lejongar also raised doubts about the proposed changes to the pension system. He argued that the new provisions in the Economic and Financial Measures Bill could weaken the country's model for social solidarity by gradually reducing the role of the state. And in response, Minister of Labour Reza Outim stated that the bills are parts of a broader effort to ensure a fairer redistribution of resources. He said that the social measures included in the budget are intended to improve workers' living conditions and strengthen social justice. He also criticized the opposition for not presenting concrete alternatives. The Minister Delegate for Finance, Danishwar Damri, defended the overall balance of the budget, stressing the importance of containing the deficit while While preserving key social benefits, he reaffirmed that the additional revenue would help fund investment in priority sectors such as health, education and transport. Today marks the third reading. If adopted, the two bills will formally enshrine the government's economic direction for the year ahead.
And moving to news related to the MRA, the Mauritius Revenue Authority is currently carrying out a major overhaul of its online services aimed at improving tax collection, among other objectives. The authority in charge of collecting corporate tax has reassured businesses, however, that no penalties or interest will be charged for late submissions or payments as long as they are done before the deadline. Charlene Yaban takes a closer look at how corporate tax works in Mauritius.
Each year, a corporate income tax is levied by the state. Companies are required to file their tax return and pay tax on the profits made after deducting salaries and other expenses once their accounts are closed. Madhavan Suban, chartered accountant and managing partner of Exfin Consult Limited, explains further.
Companies operating in Mauritius generally have to pay between 2% to 15% in tax, which they are required to pay to the MRA on their annual return. 15% is charged on the profit, and this 15% is added by the MRA. This becomes a source of revenue overall.
Some companies, however, pay only 3% in taxes. These are mainly export-oriented companies, those that are already generating revenue for the state.
It's a way for the government to encourage companies to export. So, when we export, we're developing our economy. We need to employ more local resources to create wealth in our country. There are also exceptions where certain companies are not obligated to pay income tax, so they are exempt from paying it. For example, there are SMEs that are exempt from paying this tax during their first years of operation. Depending on the type of activity they carry out, they don't pay income tax. This gives them a breathing space so that by the fourth or fifth year, they can start paying.
And the deadline of 31st July, which was yesterday, no longer applies to those whose financial year ended on 1st January. An extension has been granted, as explained by Amik Tilakdari, Deputy Director of the Taxpayer Education and Communication Department at the MRA.
The MRA is informing these companies that there will be no penalties or interest applied on late submission and payment of tax, provided that the tax return and the payment, if applicable, are made by Monday, 1st September 2025 at latest.
For more information, taxpayers are encouraged to visit the official MRA website or to contact the organization directly.
Thanks to Anjali Siratan Pulchand for her voiceover on the inserts. Eben's building infrastructure keeps rising, but parking remains in short supply as the business district continues to expand. Finding a place to park has become a real headache. The few spaces available are often overpriced. As a result, more and more drivers are resorting to illegal parking, much to the frustration of the authorities. Pranav Bihari was on site and tells us more.
8 a.m. in the cyber city and the scene has become almost routine. Cars lined up along pavements, on vacant lots, even across pedestrian crossings. Illegal parking is becoming a last resort solution for drivers who are running out of patience.
There are lots of people who don't have a parking space and park their vehicle anywhere they can. There are lots of parking issues and people park anywhere they can find on double yellow lines, on vacant lots and roundabouts.
It's a huge problem. When I came here, I had to keep on driving until I find a space, and it was raining. Parking spaces in Eben are expensive. People park haphazardly. I think there should be more parking spaces and the prices should be reduced.
The situation is clear. The supply of parking spaces is not keeping up with the city's rapid development, and the consequences are felt every single day. The mayor of Quatre Bornes, Brian Rudy Kenu, is actively working to find solutions.
We have taken note of the parking problems in Eben. Activity is increasing in Eben and more people are coming to live here. The municipality does not own many plots of land in Eben, but we will see if we can build parking spaces on the few ones we do own.
occuper dans sa quantité de problèmes de parking sauvage qui est dans ce moment-là.
But these vacant lots aren't always available. Landscope Mauritius, which manages a large portion of land in Eben, says most plots have already been leased to developers. Still, one rule remains. Any new building project must include designated parking spaces for its users. The Eben car park, inaugurated in 2020, is still the most recent large-scale parking facility to open in the area, yet despite offering 934 spaces across 6,000 square meters, it still struggles to meet the growing demand.
And it's 9:11. We move to international news as we listen to RM1. President Donald Trump has ordered the reimposition of tariffs on dozens of trading partners on Thursday, his cornerstone strategy for reshaping global trade to benefit the U.S. economy. However, in a minor reprieve, the White House said the measures will take effect in a week, not this Friday, as previously expected. The tariffs are a demonstration of raw economic power that Trump says will put U.S. exporters in a stronger position while encouraging domestic manufacturing by keeping out foreign imports. Trump's new measures in an executive order raised duties on dozens of economies up to a 41% rate. And finally in sports, Kimberly Lecourt-Pinard strengthened her hold on the yellow jersey after finishing third in stage 6 of the Women's Tour de France yesterday. The Mauritian cyclist collected bonus seconds and now maintains her lead over France's Pauline Ferrand-Prévot by 26 seconds and Katarzyna Niewiadoma by 30 seconds. That's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay tuned now to the Intermediate playlist and until 10 a.m.